So then I spoke to my husband and I said, I don't feel like I can be here anymore. I feel like it's time to transition, but I didn't know how. In today's episode of Conversation with the Founder, I'm going to talk about how this ministry really got started. I found myself sitting at my desk, not wanting to be there, but I didn't do anything. But that was God calling you. Yeah, yes it was. It was a big step. It was me having to leave a corporate job, a job that I had started, a business that I had started with my husband that was paying great money for something that was really unknown. So God was calling you to something you didn't see yet. Yes, He was. And I think that's where faith comes into play. So what happened? So then I spoke to my husband, who was my business partner, and I said, I don't feel like I can be here anymore. I feel like it's time to transition, but I didn't know how. So that's when I went to speak with my pastor, and he had a nonprofit that he needed some help with, and asked if I would consider running it for him and help him with his vision, which I initially agreed to. However, as I started running that nonprofit, God really began to impress upon me His vision of reaching those who are less fortunate, those who are marginalized, and those who just needed that help. So what was the dream about exactly? What was the scripture? Okay, the scripture that was given to me, it was really a literal dream. It was Ephesians chapter 3, verses 8 and 9 and 10. And basically it was the Apostle Paul saying he was the less of all the apostles, the least of them really. But God had given him a dream, a call to preach to the Gentiles, to preach to people who are outside of God's initial folks, right? To preach to people who are marginalized and to bring them the good news. And the truth of the matter is, I began a social ministry, but the call really was for a spiritual ministry. I started and people began donating and giving into this particular ministry of, which was again, empowering those who are in need. It was food, it was clothing, it was biblical counseling. But God wasn't done with me yet. Because I remember one particular day, I was in a closet at my office, and I was asking God, how did He think I did? And He said, you got a B, not an A. I thought I was in an A+ job, and He says you had a B. And I was really perplexed. I know there's more to your story about that B, but what would you say to a woman who is feeling a calling, but is feeling also perplexed? I would say, do it afraid. Do it afraid. You have to step out in faith. Do it afraid. I believe that if you know that this was a call from God, you are equipped with everything that you need to make that first step. Do it afraid. It will not be clear. You won't have all the answers. You have to step out in faith, and God will meet you there.